All right, let me get that started. All right, do you have a replay code for me?
Yes. There's that.
Nice. Okay.
I was calming a ton this game, so it should be a good what my autopilot looks like, I suppose.
Perfect. That's what we want to see. That's good.
Yes.
Okay. And Lucio, is this all Lucio?
Yes.
Righto. What rank?
I think this was a GM lobby.
Okay.
Diplo GM.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Let's get this form pulled up here. So, when did you? I guess just fill me in on your Overwatch history here. When did you start playing? What ranks have you hit? When did you start playing Lucio / support? What do you think of Overwatch 2? Just fill me in all the details.
I started playing. I'm trying to think. I started playing Lucio. I've been playing main support my entire time. I've been playing Overwatch for 2 years now.
That's not long.
About since Role Queue was introduced.
Okay.
And then just being playing on a team for a little while, I found that coaching was really interesting. Coached for 9 months to a year in low masters, and then ended up moving to some mid to high T3 teams and towards the end.
Can I ask what got you interested in coaching?
Just the strategy aspect. I really enjoy game theory and strategy in general, and found that I liked talking about it. And as a coach, I got to do that a lot.
Okay. Do you have a past in coaching, teaching strategy? Any games, sports, activities that you've done before that? So this is it.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you. Okay, let's look at it here. What do you enjoy the most about it? I think you answered this a little bit already, but if you were to encapsulate what coaching kind of fulfills for you, I ask myself this question sometimes.
Yeah, I really like learning things and talking to other people about it, and that very much fulfills that niche.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. I found a love for data. I'm completing my data analytics certification. How's that going?
It's long. It's just a lot of math.
Yeah, sounds tough. Is it still enjoyable? Is it slightly stealing some of the fun out of it?
It's stealing a little bit of the fun out of it, but it's still enjoyable.
I've learned it's one of those situations whenever you love something so much that you start getting a little bit serious out of it, and it's that treading that line between the ambition of getting better at that versus I'm not going to enjoy this anymore if I push a little too hard. That's like that with everything, man. Yeah, I got you. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that's at least going relatively well. And you said you're taking a break right now?
Yes.
Okay. And you're looking to get back into the data analytics, the macro coaching you said?
Eventually, I have a couple teams that I'm trialing for right now.
All right.
That are kind of postponed for a few weeks. Okay. Eventually, my goal would be to either find a position as an analyst or some sort of assistant coaching position.
Sure. And is that more macro analytics oriented, you said?
Yeah, I'm not really interested in the leadership aspect of it.
Got it.
To be completely honest.
Sounds totally fine. If listen, I've worked with a lot of people who are really, really good at what you're talking about, and as long as you can communicate relatively well to me or another coach, you're set, okay, yeah. Let's keep looking here. So when you're talking about this session here, are we talking, obviously it's a gameplay review, but do you want to talk more about the macro of the team fight and what we're looking for, or do you want to focus on just your gameplay?
I think that the macro of the team fight would be interesting. I just don't know how much we're going to be able to see in this game in particular.
Okay. Macro always bleeds into one-on-ones, whether I want them to or not, but how far we lean into it or not. Okay, well, we'll get there when we get there. Let's keep looking through your form here. So, long-term, short-term goals in Overwatch. Short-term goals GM1 and support. Where are you now?
GM 4, 5.
Where were you before reset? GM3?
GM 3, yeah.
Okay. 4, 5. Long-term goals on contenders, coach, analyst. Okay, here's a question for you. What have you learned from playing the game that has helped you to coach better?
The number one thing that is just being able to relate to the players more. Helps me especially during one-on-ones, being able to just relate to their the way that they're playing more. Definitely helps me to communicate better, but also just I find that it's a really interesting perspective on the game to approach it from someone who's like actually in the lobby.
It's so weird. I found a lot of analysts and macro coaches generally don't play the game that much. So you're a first for me. But I think it
Yeah,
definitely gives you a perspective which is unique and probably extremely valuable.
I definitely didn't used to play the game, but I found that if I just like talk and play for fun, talk with the people around, it's a lot more fun.
Interesting. So are you more of a communicator? I mean, you talked about it when you gave me the code. You communicate more in the code. Is that something you
Um,
generally do, or?
it wasn't. I found that I was struggling to focus throughout the entire match, so I just started talking and found that it's like a lot of times I get people that will talk back, and it's fun. So over the past couple days, I've just been doing a lot of that.
Oh, so more of a recent adjustment then.
Yes,
So how
very
did you
much
get to
so.
GM1 and support while also being a brilliant coach?
Uh, well, I'm taking a break from coaching, so that's the
Yeah,
goal.
but you can't just snap your fingers and get to GM1. Like I don't care what people say about the matchmaker. That's still a very impressive
Oh yeah, yeah.
accomplishment. So how
I'm
did you
not
do that?
GM1. I'm GM
Well, okay,
three.
that's true, but still GM3.
Um, I mean, I think the main thing is I don't play mechanical characters. I play like Lucio and Brig. So it just allows
Debatable.
me to.
Debatable.
Yes, but I would argue that you can get. It's easier to get value out of those characters
Yes.
without mechanics
Yes,
than
that's true.
others.
That's true. I'm the one being
So
nitpicky. You're right. Okay, keep going.
that's I think kind of just. I mean, thinking while I'm playing about what I've told my players, right? And just slowly kind of working towards uh, putting things that I've told my players into use.
Right, right. So when you're getting this VOD, you are indirectly wanting to improve your coaching, but the primary goal is to improve your play so that you can be a better coach.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't want to sit there and like analyze that. We want to get you good at Lucio so that you can kind of have more of a better job communicating and relating to, and maybe something that we can pick up along the way will help your coaching. But okay, sounds good. Now, I love this. I love this question here. So I'm gonna skip ahead before we go to your training schedule. What do you feel is holding you back? You say mechanics. Well, obviously, right? But as well as my overanalysis. Welcome to the club of coaches
Yeah.
that also play the game. I generally
Yeah.
struggle to VOD myself as I get very nitpicky. Now, here's the good news. Here's the bad news. Let's do bad news first. Bad news is that's an issue. And that's not just, I would, maybe I'm exaggerating just a little bit, but I do think it's a pretty big issue that needs to be solved. And
Absolutely.
the reason why I feel that's a problem is it's not just for your own self-development, but you can probably tell where I'm going with this. Knowing how to not be nitpicky is also an incredibly important skill as an analyst and as a coach. I've worked with analysts before, way back in the tier 2 days, and they were almost negative impact on the team because whenever they would try and communicate their ideas with me, there were so many details and unimportant things that were brought up that it just was a waste of time.
Yeah.
The best analyst I worked with was Commander X, who was very good at like prioritizing, right? Providing some sense of hierarchy of like, this is important, other stuff doesn't matter. This is a very important thing that I've learned, I've picked up that we need to be kind of improving at. So for you as a coach or as an analyst, whatever, it's not just about your own gameplay. Maybe it doesn't affect your coaching as much, but it's just a good habit to get into it to avoid doing that. Try to find the consistent patterns, try and find the low-hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
And as a coach, it's really hard to do that because you're blessed with knowledge, but sometimes you just have to close that third eye. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think especially like I think I have less of a struggle with doing that with other people. Especially like
That's good
now
to
that
hear.
I'm actually watching like more like contenders VODs and stuff like that.
That's good to hear.
Participating in those scrims, it's easier to see like what are common issues, and it's
Good.
easier to see what has immediate impact.
Good. So it's mostly just for yourself. So that's at least good news, though. Okay, let's keep going here. So, training week. So you have the goal of GM1, and then you're on break right now, which is obviously, I'm sure, opening the door a little bit wider than it normally is. But where are you at as of recently in terms of daily ranked, weekly, general average? Do you scrim? Do you play on a team at all? Anything like that?
So due to like a headache disorder, my entire schedule is just kind of flipped on its head every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it's like I don't know, I play honestly like most of my free time so probably 2 or 3 hours a day.
Okay.
Um, Sorry, I completely forgot the question.
No, I mean you answered it. So how much are you playing ranked essentially? Like, what's your training schedule? Do
Yeah.
you warm up? Do you play a lot on some days, a
Um.
little bit on other days? Do you skip any days? Just give me like the full rundown. Like Monday, I wake up, I this is how much I play. Then I take, and so on.
Uh. So I mean, obviously, I have school. So
Right.
typically, I get home from school and spend like a couple hours finishing up homework. And
Okay.
then I'll play for a couple hours before bed.
Okay.
Um. I'm not on any teams. I ring as much as possible. I'm not in the OW right now, so I do struggle to find teams that are not masters that are looking for ringers, but I ring as much as I can.
Right. Okay.
Um Trying to think. I play pretty consistently throughout the week, two or
Okay.
3 hours a day.
Okay. Okay. So you're hitting what I would describe as the bare minimum.
Yes.
Where I think I can be confident saying that if you play really well and you play consistently, we can get you to GM1. But you're on the edge of a knife.
Hmm.
If you skip a couple of days, maybe you don't play. You're an hour and a half for a week. You're gonna have a hard time getting GM1. So I think you're fine as is. The pressure's not exactly on, but just be aware of that. In my
Okay.
experience, like anything less than that, and it's gonna be hard. Um, do you have a warm up, or
I
do
mean,
you warm up?
typically I just like hop on an alt account and I'll just hard Reddit Lucio for a few games in quick play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just it helps me a lot to warm up like mechanics. And I mean, I sometimes I unbound crossfade just to force myself to not think about that kind of stuff and just warm up my
Okay.
aim and
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. Sounds good. Have you tried other methods of warming up?
Yes, I find that like aim training is just completely unenjoyable. And while it would definitely be useful, I would rather just run around in deathmatch for 3 hours than play 15 minutes of aim
Well, have you
training, to be
tried
completely
try hard?
honest. I do a lot of try hard, yeah,
Okay, I would
and just play Lucio.
10 times recommend that over quick play, just for the sake of efficiency. To be honest with you, I think you're going to have more challenging matchups. I think you're going to spend less time in the spawn room, and you're going to get more like rapid, like positive or negative reinforcement for like actually hitting your shots. I think like quick play is probably one of the more inefficient things that you can do. The only thing that it provides is feels more like a real game, but that's not really why you're warming up in the first place.
Yeah.
Unless you're warming up like your game sense. But even then, it's just like you're on a 2 or 3 hour budget. I think we have to be really, really careful about how we invest our time.
I should clarify two things.
Sure.
I say 2 3 hours, not including the warm up. Um,
Okay. Okay.
and I do I wonder. I play quick play on that account just because I don't have ranked unlocked yet. I don't actually have an alt, so that's the only reason I'm playing quick play. Otherwise, I'd be running around in like Diamond Masters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but then we have the same problem. You know what I'm saying? It's not the fact that it's quick play; it's just the fact that it's a normal game environment. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Competitive would
Yeah.
be better because theoretically there's less time spent in queue. Because you have
Yeah.
like attack and defense. But I still think tryhard would be better.
Okay.
And I hear you about the aim training. In fact, I don't even recommend aim trainer. I think tryhard is about as good as you're going to get. So give it a shot, stick with it, and see if that, because like again, if mechanics are a weak point for you, let's try and shore that up. So you're like, oh well, I play 2 3 hours including aim training. Well, then let's make the aim training more efficient and better, or more efficient so that you can play an extra ranked game a day. You know what I'm saying? You could either
Yeah.
spend
That
more
makes
time
sense.
at tryhard for more mechanical practice, or you could spend less time warming up because your warm up is more efficient and therefore get an extra ranked game. It's a win-win, whatever one you choose. Um, okay, so over analysis, I want to revisit this one. So your rank training schedule, if we can fix that, I think is fine. I want to revisit the over analysis though. So you know why that's a problem.
Yes.
So what have you done to try and mitigate against that?
Um,
It's
a
hard to
lot
do.
of it is like just I mean, one of the things I've done is I actually had someone else, like one of my friends, just kind of sit down and talk through it with me,
Sure.
and just kind of point out like where I was starting to be over analytical,
Yeah.
and it helped me identify some patterns that I
Right.
think
What
I've
patterns have
been
you noticed? You can be
I get
specific if you.
really tied up about crossfade usage a lot, and that I tend to very much overanalyze whether I'm on speed or heals.
Right.
Even in game, it was a problem for a while. So that is one thing I look out for. I also look out for like I tend to be a little bit tied up in like managing. I guess this ties into CrossFit as well, but managing like when I'm healing and to try to not take away ult charge from my other support.
Mm-hmm.
But especially in ranked, I've noticed that just doesn't really matter that much.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been not doing that anymore.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, I would definitely describe those two as maybe not necessarily the most important things, but overanalysis implies overanalyzing at the expense of something else. And what is that usually at the expense of? Are you missing your amp? Are you not prioritizing your amp usage enough? Your beat usage? You're not thinking about your positioning. Like what are you missing the forest for the trees for? Like what's being missed?
In game, I would just like hyper focus on CrossFit usage for a while, and I mean everything else suffered because of it.
Right.
I wasn't like really beat amp usage, beat usage,
what we talked about then. Okay.
Positioning, everything.
Okay.
And then like in terms of just me motivating myself, it can either take extremely long, or I just don't come to practical conclusions.
Right. Okay. So it's the opportunity costs where you're wasting time that could be spent more efficiently elsewhere, or you spend all that time and you have nothing to show for it. Actually directable, actionable. Okay.
Yes.
So, I don't want to be redundant here, but I'm like really feeling the urge to do what you did with your friend, but do it again. And see if we can get you warmed up with actually finding something, like actually doing that. Because that's the question. When you did that with your friend, were you able to come away with actionable conclusions?
I think more so than by myself, but so not as much as I would have liked.
So what were
I came away that like when I go to try to make an aggressive play onto someone, I tend to not press any key other than W.
That's
and I just die because I'm running in a straight line at them.
Sure.
That was like the main takeaway. The other one was I tend to not like, I'm not really listening for my other support ults. I'm pretty sure my music was just too loud, so I've turned it down since then. And I'm stacking support ults a lot less.
Now I see why you play Lucio. That's just such a low-hanging joke. I couldn't let it pass. Okay. Obviously, the sleep stuff sucks. You know, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that that's something that we can figure out at some point in time. You know, my condolences. That has to be really, really rough to deal with.
It's getting better. I'm not too worried about it.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I can't completely sympathize, but yeah, I know a little bit of what that is, even if it's half of the intensity, and it is it's rough. I can't imagine it being as bad as I'm sure yours are. So I hope to hear that continues to improve. I don't have a whole lot else here from the forward. Is there anything else that you want to go over, repeat, like elaborate on more, or are we set?
Not that I can think of. I think we're good.
Okay, let's actually look at some gameplay here. So we're running a little ahead of schedule, but we'll see how long this takes. Maybe this will be like one of your VOD reviews. Maybe we'll get super nitpicky, you know?
Okay.
So Lucio, we already have kind of an idea of what we're looking for with the W key usage, the layering of support ults. Maybe we'll talk about crossfade, but we'll have to be very careful. That's pretty much it. So here's what we'll start off with. When you're playing Lucio, what is the hero good at? I mean, we get it down to the bare bones.
You speed people around and you boot people.
Right. So do you boot people in or out?
It depends.
Depends on what?
It depends on whether or not I want them to die or whether or not I want my team to live.
Right. And so let's go down the list. Would you boop a Widowmaker in or away?
In.
Why would you boop a Cassidy in or away?
If he has nade, I would be careful about booping him in, but generally speaking, in.
Bat?
In.
Ryan?
Away.
Lucio?
In.
Right? Or away, depends, right? You want to deny his boop on your team or someone, right?
Yeah.
Now you're noticing a common theme here. You wanted to boop Cass, Bat, and Widowmaker in. What do all those heroes have in common in comparison to Reinhardt?
They're all ranged.
Right. So you are disrupting their effective range by shifting them closer than they want to be, and then vice versa with the Reinhardt. Now, obviously, there's very, very clear exceptions to that rule, but that's kind of like your general like checklist. Like it's like, do I want to keep the Tracer away? Do I want to keep the Sombra or Genji away? Obviously, yes. Do I want to boop the Widowmaker in? Obviously, yes. So that's kind of like your checklist. It's like, I don't know. I've always talked about like enable versus disable. Am I enabling, am I enabling my team by creating a boop opportunity, or am I disabling or messing up what the enemy team wants to do? You kind of see what I'm saying? And that's a good way of looking at it. Like I look at your composition right now, and assuming that we stay, okay, so we're staying on this comp, like you could definitely speed your Bastion and you could speed your Ramatra. That would be the enable side of the tree, right? That's like the leaves, right? But then when it comes to I guess the roots, this analogy is falling apart, no pun intended. What are you looking at in the enemy comp? What are you seeing?
I see that Widow looks redditable.
Yeah. We have to create a sense of priority, right? So where are the priorities? Widowmaker is definitely a priority. Are there any other major priorities?
Speeding my team away / like booping the Rhine to keep him from doing anything.
Sure. Like if you, for example, like let's say, like, well, when would you speed your Rhine? Like we have a weird quandary, right? Because you're like, we speed Bastion, Symmetra, Ramatra in, but when do we do that?
When the Rhine is not in our face already.
Okay. And when else? I guess. What are you relying off of? Look at your Ramatra.
What cooldowns?
Right. What cooldowns?
Punch and whatever.
Yeah.
And turret form.
Right. Yeah, and then that's it right there, right? There's certain windows when you want to be aggressive, and there's certain windows when you want to be defensive. Rhine is boring. Rhine is the same strength essentially all the time. So you want to hit your power spike with an aggressive amp speed during punch, during turret, and when those are not available, you are playing more passive and more denying their Rhine from capitalizing off of his power spike. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that's kind of the general consensus. Obviously, if you get the opportunity to duel the Widow, that's on the checklist as well. But I think those are our priorities. And the reason why that's important is because half of these priorities we could have scouted in the spawn, right? We know Ramatra speed when he's in Nemesis form is good. We know speed on Bastion when he's in turret form is good. Then it just comes down to kind of filling in the other half of the puzzle when we roll out a spawn. And oftentimes it's like you could almost check off like 4 members of the enemy team because they're just not that important. Now, if they're a Genji, Sombra, Tracer, Ball, things get a little bit more complicated, but yeah. Okay. It's like right here. You see turret form?
Yes.
You could make a good argument that amp speed would be good here. Now, that would be quite the investment, but I wouldn't be sitting here with my head in my hands if you did it. You know what I'm saying? But what we definitely don't want to be on is just normal heal, right? I get why you're on normal heal. I think you eat a Fire Strike.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, you eat a Fire Strike. So, not the greatest thing in the history of the world, but please, we must be at speed here for our Symmetra, for our Bastion, for our Ramatra. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is where we're obsessing with crossfade, but it's not so much about min-maxing, so much as it is the very lifeblood of when you're going to be speeding and when you're not, every single fight, right?
Yeah.
This isn't a detail, this is like everything, right? And then now, let me ask you a question. Oh my gosh, you guys are just straight up dead. Let's put it this way. Let's say that they were not just immediately dead. Okay? What do you do now? Does it matter? Does the crossfade usage first off matter that much right now?
Not particularly.
Right. Do you see the Rhine? He's not in front of your face. You don't need to be on speed to disengage. You could just kind of sit and heal. Speed doesn't really matter. Not a huge deal. Okay. What could you be doing in terms of scouting, target priority, responsibilities right now?
If my team is stabilized, I'm looking at that Widow.
If you know my she's team there, isn't, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I know she's there.
Yeah.
And if my team isn't stabilized, just helping them to stabilize and poke and reset their cooldowns.
Sure. Do you need to be going aggressively on anything other than Widowmaker?
I don't think I can here.
I agree, right? It would be overextending, essentially, because your Ramatra doesn't want to play aggressive anymore. No more Nemesis form, no more turret form, you would be feeding. Okay, so, all right, let's keep going. Oh my goodness. Is it just me?
I hate that bug.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not going insane.
It's horrid.
All right, now you have swapped to Sombra. And while you don't directly help this hero, you can kind of see how this may or may not shift your speed usage just a teeny tiny bit, right? You really need to hit that Nemesis Bastion timing with your speed. Because if your Sombra is not a complete brain dead moron, she's going to be trying to synchronize pressure on the Widowmaker or the Baptiste, right? So that spike is going to be really hot or cold, right?
Right.
So we need to be hot when we're hot, you know?
If I remember correctly, me and your Sombra were just like hard calling, and I ended up just like going around killing people with them.
Nice. That's great. That's great.
Why did I amp?
Right? You see that? Because I could turn around here, and I promise you I don't see anything. Where is he? Yeah, you see? You see? You see?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's this. I think it's probably fine to speed, but no. Now here's a question: why do you think you amped? Let's not sit here and like say you're trash. You know what I'm saying? Why do you think you amped?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. The only thing I can think of is, did somebody call something low? Did somebody
right.
like? Did I hear like a major cooldown that
Right.
I was like, yo, let's go punish that?
Here's the thing. This is why I've always been an advocate for people to, in lower ranks and medium ranks, to just not necessarily join voice chat. You're in a rank to where this is important, obviously. But I think the reason why is I think a lot of the time people rely too much on audio and calls rather than on just using their eyeballs.
I definitely agree.
You know what I'm saying? So like right now, like there might have been a call, but use your eyeballs, right? You know what I'm saying? Even just your peripheral vision. Where's the pressure? Where's the engagement here? Let's not even think about this from, oh, Bastion's not in his turret form, we're not in Nemesis form. Are we engaging?
No.
Not really, right? So we need to be reacting. I mean, people always act like, oh, you have to be in voice to be a good team player. But I think just generally paying attention to what's actually happening on your screen, what your main tank is doing, what your DPS is doing, is way more important for you understanding context, especially as a support player. Like, as Ana, the best thing you can be doing for Nano is not being in voice with your Genji, it's just to watch your Genji. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for you here. To know, looking at my Ramacha, looking at my Bastion, right? Because like right here, we just walked forward, but man, we really did not need speed here. We really did not need speed. And right now, right? You see
love an amp here.
Right? You would love to have an amp here. Now, will your Ramacha walk through the Reinhardt and walk into the Widow? Maybe, maybe not. But if he wants to, it's there. You know?
Yeah.
You will visually react. And there it is. There's the amp, right? There you go. Nice job. Nice mechanics, by the way. Really not too shabby at all.
I think my biggest problem is like just from playing so much like FFA, I struggle with like ranged aim. Like I'll just like be missing on a standing still target at like 15 meters.
Yeah, it's also hard too because if they're standing still, you're expecting strafe, so then that can screw with you, you know, as a projectile.
Yeah, here. Just in general, like I've noticed that anytime I try to play like any like Reddity or distraction, I just don't hit them, so they never look at me.
Right. Here's a question for you: should you be on heal or speed right now? Stop. Good question. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Visual acuity here, right? So like getting lead is important.
I should go help my.
Yeah, you know what? I don't really know. You guys just forfeited here. To be honest with you, this is just stupid. Yeah. This is just get push here.
I don't know if you could probably min-max like capping and then going.
But we're not going to, are we?
No.
We're fighting that urge, because it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
I think it's not because min-maxing doesn't matter. It's just because it doesn't happen enough for the return on investment to be worth the attention elsewhere. You know?
Yeah.
If it's something that happened every fight, sure.
It's interesting, but not necessarily useful.
Right, and that's the catch. That's the catch right there. You actually made a great point there. You and I like interesting things. It's the niches. It's like, if, for example, like all the tips and like for example, No Shade to Karki is a phenomenal content creator, and some of his stuff is legitimately good. But why do you think his one tip trick series does so well? You know, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. Is it useful? Yes, but it's not nearly as useful as the views would tell you. You know what I'm saying? But it's fun. Sure. I watch every single one that comes out because they're fun. But I'm not going to sit here and tell myself that I'm going to be a significantly better coach by the time the video is done, or a significantly better player by the time the video is done. And especially for you and me, we're like the nerds, you know. We love the coaching and stuff like that. But it's like we have to sometimes we just have to do the boring stuff, you know. There's nothing really wrong here. You amped speed a second ago, but I felt like you were amping speed to avoid the Cassidy from killing you on that rotation. So I don't have any problem with what we're doing right now. The speed is also very fine. Very fine, I say. Probably would have been on speed there. So like I know people are low underneath it, but like the kill must happen right here, and then you transition right here from heals. I think something needs to die real quick. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, is it not better, because I know that he's already on top of them and we have to kill the lamp, is it not better to get a little bit of healing?
No, that's a very fair point. Yeah, that's a very fair point. Yeah. No, I think that's fine. Ooh! Nice. Okay. Oh, it sucks. We keep overextending. I'm not sure.
This is a pretty common occurrence recently.
Yeah. Okay.
I've hit straight W into that Hanzo.
Well, I mean, yes. Let's watch. Because obviously the fight is lost, but maybe this is something that's a consistent theme with you that we can start practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so let's put it this way. When you're playing up against, we're taking a 1v1, the danger with wall riding, is right here. Because you're locked in, right? You're in the falling animation. I think, so I worked with a movement coach, I think it was last week, Sev, and he had something really insightful to say. He said the first half, well, at least half of a jump is going to be unpredictable. The first half or the second half. For you, when you lock onto this here, the first half is unpredictable because you bounce, right? That makes aiming hard for the Hanzo, correct? Better than just riding. But then the bad part is from here on out, right? Where you're moving predictably and you have no agency over your own hero. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what would have been better here?
Either to bounce off the car and go like onto the wall if I need to get up there,
right?
Or just to not wall ride at all,
right? And then at least you have the advantage of 80-80 strafing. It's still not great.
Yeah.
I still think you lose the 1v1 because Hanzo does great versus Lucio, but at least you have more of an opportunity to do what you're saying, right? So you're either the solution here is either to bounce and keep bouncing, right? Unpredictable, because you skip the predictable part of the jump by doing that, right? Or at least you make it more unpredictable, or to just completely forego wall riding entirely, because it's that one unpredictable window where even if he body shots you here, you're in trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm way over breaking down the micro, but if this is a consistent problem with you, something to consider.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of your call to decide whether that's. And the nice thing about that, though, is that is something that's technically practicable in tryhard. You know, that's something that you can put attention on in tryhard and maybe not too much attention to in a ranked game. Okay.
I don't know why I'm imping this one.
Well,
I know why, but I don't think it's good.
Yeah. I wouldn't sweat it. I don't think the fight is like happening immediately, you know.
That's fair.
I think you're okay. Oh, you guys got baited. Oh, maybe not. Your summer went too early. Okay. This is a tough call, isn't it? This is a really tough call. Because what's the problem with amp speed right now?
I mean, if we walk into them, it's 5v3.
What else? Look at your Ramatra.
I don't know if he used Nemesis. It may still be on cooldown from when he came out of spawn.
He has used it, I think. No, he hasn't. Actually, you know what? Maybe you should just amp speed here.
Maybe. I mean, Bastion going off, like, hopefully the Ryan just holds his shield because he's scared of that, I guess.
Yeah, I think amp speed here. I think amp speed. Because, again, you're going right past the Reinhardt, right? And I think amp speed would have been useful there. So I'm with you. It felt weird, but upon reconsideration, I think just straight up amp speeding was the play there. That would have helped you versus surviving the Hanzo as well. Because as it is, this feels like the Lucio might actually survive this. Okay, no, he doesn't. Thank goodness. But that would have been tragic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, it doesn't impact the result of the fight, but you and I both know that's not how coaching works. So amp speed there needed to be. I talked a little bit like Yoda there. Amp speed.
How much priority do you think I should put on contesting like off anglers and just pressuring off angles?
It's a great question. And I actually think you put on a clinic right here. Please check what you do. Now you're extremely late. We've already talked about that, right? And then you also amp heal a little bit initially first. I think it's because the Hanzo shot you. So that sucks. Okay. But look at your Ramatra. You see, does this gentleman need speed anymore?
No, he's on top of him.
Right. So then what do?
And go find something else to do.
You diverge. Right. Right. Exactly. Now and a lot of the time you will be playing a composition that will not be wanting to amp speed at all, right? Amp engage at all. Like let me pivot this up. They're playing dive comp, and you're playing something like a spam comp, right? You know, I mean not a spam comp, but like you're playing like Ramatra, you know, Sojourn,
more
Torbjorn.
spammy than them.
Right. So then your amp can be used either peel or you can use amp strictly to duel an off-angled flanker to kind of keep them off your backline. So you've already done your job. We're like your Ramatra is where he wants to be. So then it is not only good, but it is best for you to do what you're doing right now.
Okay.
Right? You've closed the distance. Now all of a sudden, who has the advantage in this duel? You or Hanzo.
I mean, it's me.
Right? I mean, it's certainly not very clear, is it? It's just definitely not where Hanzo wants to be. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. Assist the engage, and then as soon as you can, split. And then there's some times where you might decide that actually assisting the engage is not as important as dealing with the split. Like let's say that they've got a Sombra on their comp, you might get your amp speed for like a second of their engage, and then turn around and deal with the Sombra because she's prio, you know, or Mark Tracer because she's prio. So it's not really a clear answer, but you will have to kind of use your judgment.
Okay.
Like right here, you know, your prio here is like, could you deal with like denying the Lucio from going in? Yeah. Could you go duel with the Widowmaker? Yeah, but what's the prio right now?
I mean, probably keeping my Ramatra ult active.
Yep. Full speed. Whether your Ramatra is disengaging, right, and playing to live and booping that Rhine away, or just keeping speed on that Ramatra so he can keep it active, right? That has to be the priority. And so everything else stops until this Ramatra gets speed. And you see the problem, right? We're just a little slow. Just a little slow. And then there we go, right? Would he have survived? I don't know, but it's a troubling red flag.
Okay. I think scoreboards have. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think scoreboards have caused people to stagger more. I've noticed.
Why is that?
Because I think, like, just like talking to players, especially, they don't want to die because it shows up on the scoreboard. So they instead of going in and dying, they just end up trying to get out when they really can't.
That's a great insight. I never thought about that. I bet you're right. I'm sure you're right. Because the thing is, like, if you get out and you survive, what's the return on investment? Almost nothing, right? 200 ult charge.
Yeah.
Congratulations, pat on the back.
You get number on scoreboard lower.
Right. But it doesn't really help your team that much, rather than just dying in cart. However, if you die staggered, it's significantly worse, right? So let's say if you avoid death 3 times, but you stagger once, it's probably still not worth.
Yeah, you're costing your team like 30 seconds.
Right. That's actually a great point. Oh my goodness. I think you probably should have just let your Ashe die and just gotten out and give your Kiriko a safe TP. Because
I do that a lot.
I swear you should have died at least half a dozen times already. Okay, so let me ask you a question right now. Why is this the play? I'm not going to even play
He's
games
on fire.
with you. Well, yes, obviously. But obviously, where is the speed engage, right? Do you need the speed engage?
No, they're in Narnia.
Right. Well, again, right? You're also already here, right? And
this
guy is actively feeding, right? So, for crying out loud, yes. Ha! Rolled.
Here you go.
Alright. Again, your mechanics really aren't too bad. I think you're fine. Okay, setting up. Oh my goodness. Good patience here. Kind of unfortunate, I'm not gonna lie. This feels like a little bit of a mismanagement here. Let me look at this again. So like, I really don't love the amp here. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay.
I know you see critical on your screen, But again, it's like, it's a rookie mistake. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at her positioning, right? Theoretically here, what's the most important thing you can do to keep your team alive right now?
Speed them away from the Ryan.
Right, speed them away from Ryan and hit the boop. You hit the boop, right? No,
eventually
we don't, right?
I don't
and you don't get the speed in time either, right? And right. Not only that, but we actually use our amp for it, right? Not great, not great. Like this needed to be a boop speed disengage, not an amp. And ultimately that's gonna result in a beat being forced. And you're just kind of...
I think I was very tunnel visioned on farming beat that fight. And because of it, I was just sitting on heal.
Yeah, you might have been. And now you have it, right? But we're still on heal. We amp. We boop. Yeah, not great. Okay, let's keep watching. I mean, definitely be on speed there. You're killing me. You're killing me. This guy's like, my mechanics are not that good. As he actively tries to do a Widowmaker. I hope your mechanics are good for that. Alright.
Can do it up close.
What is it? Oh yeah, you can do it up close. Yeah. You can do it up close. Nice. Okay, whatever. I actually want to look at this amp here. What do we do? You see the problem, right?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Why am I amping at all? But I should be amping speed.
Right, if anything, it's an amp speed either for the engage on the EMP, which is obviously happening after the fact, so you couldn't have known that. But you certainly could have been like, oh, I need to save my Ramatra, I need to amp speed, right? Yeah, not good, not good. And again, it comes back to like the read that we made in Spawn at the very start of the map, right? Where you look at the comp and you're like, I need to kind of play around that Reinhardt. And the tricky thing with Lucio, and this is why he's so difficult, is all I'm going to do here is I'm going to swap the enemy tank, right, and your tank. You're on D.Va, they're on Orisa, right? Totally changes the dynamic, doesn't it? Like, totally.
Yes.
It's a lot more complex. It's a lot more hard. Like, what if it's a Ramatra mirror? Do you amp speed to disengage their nemesis? Do you amp speed your Ramatra? What I'm saying is that if you're at least thinking about it from that standpoint, you're on the right track. I'm not going to make it easy for you, but at least you're on the right track to thinking about the engage matchups better. As of right now, you're not, though. You're not at all.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm hopefully, especially as a coach, opening the door to better macro understanding and better macro play from you with your amp usage. Even if I'm not exactly making that understanding easy. You kind of
I mean, I think like I have a lot of experience talking to like especially Toki, if you know who that is.
Sounds
about
familiar. Like is it T-O-K?
T-O-K-K-I.
Yeah, I know the name.
About like crossfade and amp usage. So I think like I can figure it out. Just need to actually probably put a sticky note on my monitor.
Right, exactly. Because like we're in a meta right now, thank goodness, where we don't really know what we're going to be playing. It's not Roadhog, but that's about it. Nothing else is really set. You know, there's going to be more Ryan. There's going to be a lot more Ball. There's definitely going to be still some Ramatra. We might be seeing a little bit more D.Va. But it's like you've got so many dynamics to consider, not to even mention of your DPS and support matchup. Okay, so let me ask you another question. You're on Soldier now. How does that affect your amp speed usage?
I mean, amp speed is not really useful for my Soldier.
Correct.
If he's trying to get out.
Right. So that streamlines things, doesn't it? Makes it easier for you, right? So now you're only really focused on Ramatra Nemesis and or maybe your Sombra engage. And that opens up Reddit Lucio opportunities, doesn't it? You can use amp speed to engage on a Widowmaker now. You can use amp speed to dive backline. You have a lot more flexibility, or you could just straight up be perfectly amp speeding every single nemesis. You know, it's up to you how you want to handle that. Oh, nice amp. We take that. Oh no, I think we've got a beat bug with the audio.
Oh, I'm feeding.
Because of that, and also because of feeding. Yes. Yeah, this is just you just going in. Like I appreciate what you're doing here because you're trying to boop them in as we go in, and I think this was an Ajax opportunity. Yes.
They called that the Lucio had beat, and I was trying to force Ajax.
I mean, and it makes sense, right? Because you're going in with Nemesis, and then one punch here, you know, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think he's really close, right? So I get it. I'm not going
I
to
just
even
need to
necessarily.
care Widow.
It's just a high risk, high reward. You know, there's no either you choose to Ajax or you deal with Widow. There's nothing in between. You know what I'm saying? And you chose to Ajax, you died for it, but also we could also have hit the punch and the Widow misses the shot, and we're thinking about how great of a Lucio you are. I think for the risk that you took, the reward was reasonable.
Okay.
Yep. Why are we amping?
I'm not entirely sure that we have touch.
Yeah. So totally makes total sense, right? It's not optimal, but we don't really have a choice, do we?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Good target focus here. I would be thinking about Widowmaker, but I can probably predict where she is, and I don't think we can reach her.
I don't either.
Oh, she's dead. Oh.
Yeah, I don't think I can reach her.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That being said, when you do go in, this is, obviously the best target to go for, right? Right? We talked about booping in on this target. Yeah, this is great. And then obviously here, this is when we talk about dealing with the off angles, right? You've done your job, so now you just play red at Lucio. This is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
I tend to go in a lot without him. I think I do better about it this moment.
What did you say?
I had a habit of going in without ammo. I'm curious if I did it better on this map.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know what he's gonna do. Nice job. That was good. That beat it. You know the beat bug I'm talking about, right? With the replay view, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Nothing you can do about that. Amp heal is obviously the play there when they're on their back. Ha! Get rolled.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going for touch.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
I didn't realize you were going for touch. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yep. Good. I mean, I think maybe the Ramatra ult's a little excessive, and it sucks that you blew 4 ults, but I don't know. It's ranked, stuff's gonna happen. You were the first one to press Q,
Yeah,
or the
not
second.
much I can do.
So yeah, it is what it is. So let's check this one out. Oh my goodness.
No, I'm spamming jump.
Yeah.
Uh,
And this sucks too, because you see what it's forced, right?
yeah.
You could have died, but also. Oh no! I mean, you have to amp heal, But
Yeah.
just really sucks because this Hanzo is so punishable right now. This Baptiste is so punishable right now. And actually, you need to because of this, right? This is going to completely shut down the Kiriko ult if you don't get your Ramatra in here. And so I assume that's exactly what happens. Okay, well, that also works as well. Yeah, that's.
Is it good to? I know, using. I don't know with the new cooldown changes. Is it still good to amp at the beginning of a Kiriko ult?
I think so. Yeah. I think so, yeah. I think it just allows you guys to prevent them from kiting as well. It does stack. Obviously, the return on investment is not as crazy, but that initial placement is actually really important. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get you that much closer. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's certainly a good thing. Is it the best thing? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't think it matters enough for it to be even worth a second consideration. Just do it.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Nice. I mean, there you go. You've had a really easy time when it comes to dealing with off angles. There's never been any hard decisions. It's always been you're on top of the enemy core, and so you just pick the target and you kill it. I think
I tend to lean towards contesting rather than not.
And that's probably wise. I think that's the better play. I think that's where your impact is going to be higher. And I actually think, ironically, that's what's going to keep you safer, rather than turning your back on whatever is going to kill you. Okay, so then right here, please amp.
One day.
That's it right
Today
there.
Today is not that day.
We've had a pretty easy time the last, I guess, 5 minutes of in-game time where there haven't been a lot of situations like that. It's been pretty much weird situations where you've played well and then this rears its ugly head, and this is legitimately map losing mistake.
Yeah, I think we do lose because
legitimately map losing because this guy doesn't get amp speed, and honestly it's not just the amp speed, it's also the fact that with amp speed here you should be booping this guy down. right? I think this is where we need you to be playing aggressively with your Ramattra. Ramattra doesn't get help, so now Ramattra backs off. Well, he still goes, but where on earth are you? And there's the amp heal. It's over. I mean, great boob, but this should be over. No way you're... Okay, yeah, this is over. Oh!
I think we get a ton of exit frags, but I think we still lose.
Oh my goodness, look at the timing here.
No, the aim.
Oh, worst case scenario. That's actually really tragic. This is fine. I wouldn't die for this though, okay? Because we are going to get our beat again. And then, by the way, there's the peel, by the way. You didn't even realize it, but look at this. You ran. You got her out, you know? Micro thing, but we weren't doing it earlier.
Better at that.
All right.
This is so sad.
I'm ready to be disappointed. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the thing. The good news is that we have, like, a pretty consistent idea of what needs to be worked out here. So what are you seeing?
Amp usage is a little bit silly.
Okay. And then you as a coach need to be more specific than that. Because you need to be able to take something and actually go practice it. What needs to be practiced? Not just, oh, my amp usage. What about your amp usage?
I need to be more actively thinking about whether amp speed or amp heal will actually save and or kill someone. I'm trying to think how to phrase that better.
How about this one? More actively thinking about amp usage, preferably pre-fight to match friendly/enemy composition strengths.
Okay.
Because if you think about what we were talking about today, it was about synchronizing your amp with Nemesis and Bastion turret form, right? But then now you're the Reinhardt's team. Now how are you amping?
Away from scary abilities.
Potentially, right? Potentially away from turret form, or sitting on it, just speeding, and then amping after, right? During your window of advantage. But one or the other, right? Now you're playing Ryan versus Dive. Now how do you amp? You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is it amp heal speed to disengage, or is it amp heal during the brawl? Is it going to be amp normal, and then you're going to use amp to actually close the distance on a flanker to proactively peel? Like, you're going to know the answers to these questions. I don't think I did much teaching today, which wasn't a surprise with your background, right? To me, it's just about creating a sense of prioritization, right? Okay. You have the knowledge, you know the matchups. When I ever ask the questions, of course, you're a coach, you're going to know the answer, but you're not doing it. It's costing a lot of fights. So I want you to build the habit of in spawn room checking comp, thinking where am I going to be positioned? Because the other thing too is, like, this isn't just about amp, it's also about our positioning as well, right? Like, not only were we not amping our Ramattra last fight, we were also not assisting the Ramattra last fight at all. We were just sitting. And so that's equal parts amp, equal parts positioning issue, right?
Right.
So I think that's something that we need to do. And then, like we said with the nitpicky stuff, right? A sense of prioritization. We don't need to completely solve exactly and perfectly how to use amp usage. We need a good general idea, right? Let's do this. Do you have another replay code for me? We don't have time to go over another replay code, but I'd like to practice something with you.
Yeah, I can play
anyone you're playing Lucio. Legit. It doesn't matter if it's a horrible win, quick play game. I don't care. Just send me a code.
Oh my goodness, it's taking forever to load.
That's fine. Take your time. Okay. All right. Play Lover Watch. Just got a notification for it. So VG Paraíso. Okay. Surely. Okay. Let's say comps stay the same. I'll just say what we do. Okay. So you're on tech here. What's your amp?
I either need to amp to rotate underneath, or amp either heals or speed depending on their engage with their
Right.
CDs.
Right. You're like probably looking to have some sort of like, well, what CDs are you really paying attention to?
Nemesis and turret,
Yep, that's it.
and
Right.
maybe dynamite.
I would not amp around dynamite. Too complicated. Too niche. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
Amp either yourself in to close the distance, or then amp to disengage, bait out, whatever those cooldowns. And it's really that simple. And then when it comes to positioning yourself, if you are able to close the distance, who are your target priorities?
I'm looking at. I'm not going to be able to like maybe the Mercy. Mostly the Ash forcing Curie cooldowns would be really good as well.
Yep. Even a Bastion if he doesn't have turret form, right?
Yeah.
Very, very, very easy target to burn down, right? Okay, so let's skip to a later point in the VOD here. Okay, similar. Let's see if we can see anything new here. Okay, so then amp here, right? Let's consider amp here. What do you think?
I mean, there's not much to amp speed on other than I can amp myself to just get onto the Widow.
Right. Right. And that's it. I honestly think that might be it right there. It might be that you are literally using amp as just a selfish cooldown for you to actually actively duel their Widowmaker.
I could also amp my Brig onto the Sig, but I think that's...
You could, but tough, you know?
Yeah.
But that is an option, right? Maybe that Sigma overextends and you amp speed your Brig core, your Sigma core, and boop that Sigma in, right? You would want your amp for that. So let's just actually watch one fight. What are we going to do?
I think I was hyper, just focused on trying to pocket my Brig.
But you see how that's a little bit problematic, right?
Yeah.
Like right here, you could theoretically amp in right now, right?
Go help my Tracer.
Help your Symmetra, duel the Kiriko, or deal with a Widow. I mean, whatever, I guess, but it just feels so hollow, you know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like, I mean, okay. And I think that's the reason why we're fixating on amp is I think it's like the key to understanding, like giving you some sort of constructive direction to think about your positioning and playstyle.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of the key thing. Because when we talk about speed versus heal, the real strong points are when you amp speed versus when you amp heal. And if you can answer that question, not only have you answered or fixed your amp usage, you've given yourself a direction to think completely how you play Lucio in the composition. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. What else are you seeing? That was more amp usage than anything. But were there any other like low-hanging fruits that we can work on to keep things fresh?
I mean, Boop, like more actively thinking about how I'm using Boop. Obviously, like the movement stuff. Just to work on that during warm up. Trying to think.
That was mostly it for me.
Yeah, I think that was the big ones.
Yeah. Talk about low-hanging fruit, right? Movement's a good one to work on, like you said, during warm-up. But Boop and Amp are kind of two leaves off the same tree, to overuse that analogy. So, you know, same kind of thing. Like understanding the compositional matchup and then deciding enable, disable, positioning, speed, amp, whatever. I think ults were probably pretty much fine. I don't think we were actively feeding too often. It's just that stuff, you know, if you can answer that question. And the reason why that's so important is, like I said, is that like dictates everything. You know, proper amp usage, proper boop usage is contextual upon understanding the matchup. And so if you can do that, you're going to be making a lot of decisions better. So practice that. Do you have any questions?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. If you do, my DMs are open.